The Federal Reserve is king. You know what? It's even more than that. The Federal Reserve is our God. The Federal Reserve, whether we like it or not, truly is the God of this world. Yeah, I think I can say that truthfully. Listen, this institution is has more of an impact and more power, more connections than any other institution on planet Earth. And it's, I don't want to get into the whole, is it private, is it public? After years of researching this thing, it appears to me it's somewhere in between private and public. I don't want to put a label on it. I think it serves the interests of the private banks. I think it serves the interests of the government. And that just makes sense, doesn't it? And that's why the private banks and the government support it. Now, is the Federal Reserve evil? Is it good? I think the answer is more nuanced. I think the Federal Reserve is us. It's a reflection of every single person in existence today. And the reason the Federal Reserve is the most powerful institution is because, as we know, or maybe you don't know, but the United States dollar is currently the reserve currency of the world. It's where people invest in treasuries, which is essentially also an investment in the stability of the United States dollar. And it's also the currency which is used to purchase oil, which is the most important commodity in the world today. Oil is energy, energy is everything. So yeah, the Federal Reserve is our God. It's our king. It's our Lord. And as I said, I don't know if it's good or if it's evil. I think it's a reflection of us. And it's obviously a reflection of the people in power. And I think that we can't just, if we just say the Federal Reserve is evil, I think we're not accounting for all of the things that it's done that have actually served us. And it has served us to a certain extent. I mean, if you have food in your belly tonight and a roof over your head, those things were completely intertwined with the workings of the Federal Reserve. You know, they issued the money which built those things, which grew, which facilitated the movement of that food onto your plate. Now, I think that the Federal Reserve is a greedy king, and that the lords of the Federal Reserve System really do take too much. I think they take too much, and they don't produce anything. I don't want to say they don't produce anything of value, because they do produce a system that does facilitate some reasonable amount of trade and economy, but they don't produce anything of real kind of tangible value that you can eat, or that you can live in, or that you can drive, or whatever. They don't do that. So yeah, but I do think overall the Federal Reserve is a reflection of us. It's a reflection of every human being alive today, like I said, but it's also, of course, maybe a deeper reflection of the people that created it. And I think those people do have too much greed in their heart, and they built this system which serves themselves first. I'm not sure if you know this. I learned this quite recently, that the member banks that own the Federal Reserve, or the member banks that own the regional Federal Reserve banks, they get I think it's a 6% dividend on their shares that they own in the Federal Reserve. So they are getting some sort of profit, if that's the right word. It is the right word. It's profit. They are getting some sort of profit from this system. And that is like a very much, I don't want to say guaranteed, nothing in life is guaranteed, but you know, your 6% dividend on your Federal Reserve shares is probably as close as it gets to guaranteed in the financial world, because as long as the United States government keeps paying its bills, its treasury bills, treasury bonds, you're going to get that 6% yield. Like the member banks are going to get that 6% yield from their shares in the Federal Reserve. So yeah, I think that basically as humanity evolves, we will transition to a system which is more egalitarian, as consciousness kind of raises, or whatever you want to call it, as people become more aware, less greedy, more compassionate. And I think this is just a natural evolution of consciousness. Is we are becoming less greedy, more compassionate, more understanding. I think the Federal Reserve will, it might even still exist, but it will shift and transform and mutate into something different from what it is today, because the way it's structured today, it's definitely controlled by a small clique of people, and they do take a large amount of profit out of that system. And as I said, they do produce the money system itself, which I guess you could say has value, but they don't actually produce anything of, tangible value. And I think when humanity really fully awakens, we won't even need people creating some sort of money system, because we will, how to say this, like the money, we will have so much trust in each other that we won't even need this middleman system of money to kind of facilitate trade. We will just freely exchange goods and services consensually, and that system will have a ton less friction, I think, than the current money system. And I think economics really comes down to friction, and the less friction you have in an economic system, the more efficient that system will be. And I think when I look at history and economics, it seems that we are always transitioning towards a system with less friction. I could be wrong, because it does seem like a lot of native tribes had a very frictionless kind of way of living. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think, no, we are transitioning into a system of much less friction. So, a bit of a rant there, but to cycle back, yeah, the Federal Reserve is the Lord of this world, and it's the God of this world, and it's the king. And the politicians, I know they do appoint. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I'm pretty sure politicians do appoint certain members of the Federal Reserve System. So the politicians do have some, say in this, and the people do elect the politicians. So in a way, the people have some say, but I think the people are really only presented, like, how to say it. It's like the only politicians that have a fighting chance in the system are politicians that are, supported by the system. And everything is money, right? So like a politician can't run without money. And so for them to acquire that money, they need to be friends with the people who have the money, and the people who have the money are friends with the people who run the Federal Reserve. So it's kind of like this cyclical system which ensures that people closely intertwined with the Federal Reserve System continue to get into power, and then they can, install people on the Federal Reserve Board and the Federal Reserve Chairman that are kind of aligned with their interests. And yeah, I mean, I think, as I said, I see the Federal Reserve as just a reflection of us, and we're just, as a species, we are just not, I'd say, awakened enough to live fully trusting each other, and we're not fully awakened enough to be completely egalitarian, which we should be. We should be kind of all equal under God. And yeah, a bit of a rant here, guys, but yeah, I guess the point is the Fed is God, and no, the Fed isn't God, but it's the God of this world. I guess something like that, yeah, because it has more influence in your life and in my life than any other institution, and that's just the way it is. And I think the real system in this world is the money system. And you know, capitalism and socialism are, this is my understanding, I could be wrong, but they seem just like different management styles. I'll maybe talk about this in another video, but yeah, different management styles of the same system. So, okay, to cycle back, about 10 minutes long here. The Fed is God, and we need to we need to change. We need a new God, and a God which serves more people more fairly, something like that, you know. All right, cool. All right, take it easy, guys. This is Economic Matrices channel signing out. Hopefully you subscribe and thumb up this video. I know it was a bit of a rant and a ramble, but yeah, I hope to make many more videos in the future on this channel. So, okay, bye guys.